The secret love, that changed everything. The young boy from Qunu and the hidden first love. The red earth of Qunu, the village of Qunu, in the eastern Cape of South Africa, was no more than a scattering of rondavellas under the wide, cloud-streaked sky. The ground was the color of rust, dry and cracked under the sun, and the air smelled of smoke from cooking fires and freshly tilled earth. This was where the boy named Nelson Mandela, later known to the world as Nelson, ran barefoot through the valleys, herded cattle, and played stick-fighting games with other boys under the gaze of rolling green hills. Life was simple here, but not easy. And though his laugh came quickly and his heart was kind, there was already something different about him. A tension in his gaze, a curiosity too big for the boundaries of the village. In Qunu, tradition wasn't just respected, it was enforced. Elders dictated the future, arranged marriages, and demanded loyalty to the customs of the Thembu people. But Ralilala, which meant troublemaker, lived up to his name. He often sat quietly beside the fire at night, listening to the tribal stories, but his eyes wandered beyond the flames, imagining a world no elder dared describe. He was close to his mother, Nosekini, a woman of gentle spirit but silent pain. She never questioned the elders, but young Mandela often did. "Why must we follow rules that no one can explain?" he asked once. Her answer was simple: because questioning brings trouble. Still, that didn't stop him. As he grew into adolescence, Mandela's questions deepened. He excelled in school, where Christian missionaries taught him English and a new worldview. It was there he earned the name Nelson, assigned to him by a teacher, as was custom in colonial schools. And with this new name came a fracture between the expectations of the tribe and the temptations of something larger, freer. He began to dream in two languages, Xhosa and English, and in two futures, one arranged, one unknown. It was during this internal battle that he met her. Her name was Namsa, the daughter of a visiting family from a neighboring clan. She had sharp eyes, a laugh like rainfall, and a defiant spirit that matched his own. Their paths crossed at a communal gathering. Eyes met across a fire, then again by the river. She spoke boldly, laughed without restraint, and challenged him in ways no one had before. In a society where girls were expected to be quiet and boys to obey, their connection was both magnetic and dangerous. Namsa was not for him. She was promised to another. And yet, what began with glances soon became something impossible to ignore. In the shadow of the hills, away from prying eyes, they met beneath the fig trees that lined the stream behind the village. At first, they talked about the world beyond Qunu, about the rules they didn't understand, and about what it meant to feel seen. But soon, these conversations gave way to whispered promises and stolen touches. For Mandela, it was the first time someone understood the storm inside him. And for Namsa, he was a spark she couldn't resist. It was love, but it was also rebellion. And rebellions, even quiet ones, rarely go unnoticed for long. In the deeply patriarchal structure of Thembu society, love was never a private affair. Families negotiated marriages through clan elders, and emotion was secondary to duty. When whispers about Mandela and Namsa began to circulate, they came like smoke, slow, faint, and undeniable. A cousin saw them by the fig trees. An aunt noticed their prolonged glances. And soon, the elders summoned Mandela to speak. He stood before them, the fire crackling in the center of the hut, surrounded by men who measured manhood by obedience and silence. "Are you courting the girl from the Mlaba clan?" an elder asked flatly. He said nothing. His silence said everything. The punishment was swift. He was forbidden from seeing Namsa. Her family was warned. And worst of all, Mandela was told that continuing the relationship would dishonor not only his name, but his entire lineage. Namsa was removed from the village within a week, sent back to her people with instructions never to return. Mandela was crushed. He wandered the hills for hours, avoiding the eyes of his neighbors, the quiet judgment of those who believed love was a foolish indulgence. The nights were colder, the silence heavier. His mother tried to console him, but her words felt empty. How could she understand what it meant to lose something you never truly had? But the heart is not so easily tamed. Mandela found a way. Through a school friend who acted as a messenger, they exchanged notes, written in secret, passed in schoolbooks and baskets of food. Their words were simple but full of longing. I see you in my dreams. One day, we will meet again where no one can stop us. These small rebellions kept the flame alive, but each note came with a cost. The fear of discovery, the ache of distance, and the growing sense that their story, however beautiful, was being written with invisible ink, vanishing with time. As the months passed, Mandela's defiance turned inward. He began to resent the system that controlled so much of his life. Not just in love, but in destiny. He wanted more. More than cattle, more than tribal approval. The loss of Namsa didn't just break his heart. It lit a fire inside him. One that whispered, there must be another way. He began to look toward Johannesburg, a city of noise, freedom, danger, and possibility. He wasn't ready yet, but something inside him was shifting. He could no longer live a life written by others. And you? What do you think of Mandela's early defiance? Have you ever felt torn between tradition and the truth in your heart? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. The secret refuge, the place where they met, was nothing more than a shaded pocket along the riverbank, where fig trees arched overhead like a cathedral of silence. It was there that Mandela returned one afternoon, unsure if Namsa would come. The wind carried the scent of smoke and wildflowers, and the air was tense with memory. And then she appeared. No words were spoken at first, only a look, a shared ache. Then came the embrace, and finally, the tears. They both knew they had no permission to be there. But love had never asked for permission. They created a routine in whispers and shadows. Once a week, sometimes twice, they'd meet by the river with practiced secrecy. Namsa brought him news from her village. Mandela read her poetry in English, fragments from schoolbooks he memorized. One day, he told her, I'll write something that the whole world reads. She smiled, never doubting him. But they were both aware that this was not a future. They were merely stretching the past as far as it would go. What they had was borrowed time, and the debt was coming due. One evening, as dusk fell and the call of jackals echoed in the hills, Namsa didn't come. He waited until the moon rose, his heart sinking with every passing hour. The next day, a friend delivered a final note. Namsa's father had arranged her marriage. She was gone, this time for good. The riverbank would remain. The fig trees would still shade the earth, but the refuge had been shattered. Mandela did not cry. He simply sat in the silence for a long time, staring at the place where she once stood, and let the wind carry his anger. For the first time, Mandela tasted the bitterness of powerlessness. He was just a boy, yes, but he was also awakening. He began questioning everything more boldly. The rules of marriage, the dominance of elders, even the authority of tribal chiefs. Love had opened a wound, but it also opened his eyes. The pain pushed him toward purpose, and while he still carried the ache of her absence, he started to understand that love, like freedom, was something worth fighting for. And to you watching, have you ever lost someone not by choice, but by force? What would you say if you had one more moment with them? Write it in the comments. We honor memories by speaking them aloud. The discovery and the punishment rumors never fully die in small villages. Months after Namsa's final departure, whispers still clung to Mandela's name like dust in the wind. He became a symbol of disobedience, a warning told to younger boys around fires. Do not follow the path of the one who disrespected the elders, they'd say. His family, especially his guardian chief John Jintaba, saw the need for correction. Mandela was abruptly sent away to a boarding school far from Qunu, with strict rules and cold discipline. It wasn't education, it was exile in disguise. At the new school, Mandela felt isolated. He was watched constantly, expected to conform, to forget. But forgetting is not the same as healing. Every assignment reminded him of the life he left behind. Every chapel prayer made him question the God who allowed such cruelty in the name of tradition. He wrote letters he never sent. He practiced speeches in the dark, and in every word he crafted, Namsa's name was stitched in silence. His punishment wasn't just relocation, it was erasure. In this new environment, he was not the boy from Qunu. He was student number 46. And yet, the pain only sharpened his focus. He studied law. He studied history. He read about revolutions and uprisings. He devoured the stories of people who had challenged the systems that tried to crush them. What began as heartbreak slowly evolved into ideology. Mandela was no longer just in love with a girl. He was falling in love with resistance. Thank you for staying with us this far. Your presence here means everything. And trust us, the most powerful part of Mandela's early journey is yet to come. Escape to the future. When Mandela turned 22, Chief Janjantaba arranged a marriage for him. Again, without asking. It was the final blow. This time, Mandela didn't rebel quietly. One morning, before sunrise, he packed a small satchel, slipped out unnoticed, and boarded a train bound for Johannesburg. It was a decision that would change history, but in that moment, it was simply the act of a heart that refused to be caged. Johannesburg was a different world. Smoke-filled, loud, buzzing with industry and inequality. The city was brutal, but it was also free. No one knew his past. No one asked about Namsa. He found work as a clerk in a law firm, rented a tiny room, and for the first time in his life, made his own choices. But he never forgot the girl beneath the fig trees. He never forgot what it meant to lose something because others decided you didn't deserve it. In Johannesburg, Mandela found others who thought like him. Men and women who were also angry, also hopeful, also determined to reshape a system built to suffocate. It was here that his political life began, but its roots were emotional, personal, human. Before the speeches, before the struggle, there was a boy who fell in love and was told he couldn't. And that wound never truly healed. It simply evolved. As we close this first episode, remember, even the world's most powerful voices begin as quiet whispers. Mandela's began with the pain of a forbidden love, and that pain became the compass that would guide him through every decision, every fight, every sacrifice. If this story moved you, share it. Leave a comment. Tell us what you took from Mandela's first heartbreak. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because in the next episode, Intrigues in Johannesburg, the lawyer who disturbed the powerful, you'll witness how that broken heart became a weapon against injustice.